National Fast Food Day. Yes, National Fast Food Day. I have to be honest, I would think today would maybe be more apt to be National Don't Eat Fast Food Day. At least I try not to eat fast food. To me, I look at, but I do have some fast food from time to time. So I don't know how you're going to celebrate your National Fast Food Day today. But there is one thing that I do know, and that is the Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com. It is chillier than normal for some reason down here in the duct tape studio, so kind of doing some layers. Normally don't see me wearing a hoodie. Certainly not doing the show. Well, I do the show either, but yeah, it's kind of chilly down here. I don't know what's going on. So anyway, today is Friday, November 16th. Welcome aboard. I am actually going to be taking a first look and paging through the 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons Guildmasters Guide to Ravnica from Wizards of the Coast in just a few moments. This is the newest release. Well, I guess I can't say newest release. It came out at the same time as Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage, which we just looked at earlier this week as well. But it is in some stores. I know there were some issues as far as getting the print run out there. So I know it will actually release in much wider, worldwide, basically, on November 20th. So this is episode 100 in standard time. Yes, I have been kind of letting people know. I've been tweeting it out. Been mentioning it on the show as well. So as of Monday, and it just kind of fell this way, right? It's not as if I sat there and said, oh, on episode 200 is when I'm going to change the time of the stream. No, it just happens to be that on the 19th, I start my cardiovascular rehab. I don't know, it's only taken months and months and months, seeing that I had my near fatal heart attack back on March 15th. But I'm finally going to be starting to do that, and it's going to take place in the afternoons. So, obviously enough, won't be able to do the Daily Dope at that point, so I'm going to do the Daily Dope in the evenings. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. I have no idea. Do want to point out that this is a live stream. I know a vast majority of people tend to watch the show after the fact, but if you are watching live on YouTube, there is chat available. Feel free to say hello or ask a question, or if there's something you want to get a better look at with the Guildmasters Guide to Ravnica, by all means, chime in and I will respond. So, got some news today, so I'm going to jump into that in just a moment. I know some folks out there don't dig the tabletop gaming news every day. If that's the case, take a look at the show notes. I have timestamps. You don't have to watch the news. You can jump right into the page through and first look over at Guildmasters Guide to Ravnica. Anyway, let's get started with the news, because a really, really highly anticipated game from Fantasy Flight Games has arrived, and I've got the dope on Keyforge. From the mind of Richard Garfield comes Keyforge, the world's first unique deck game. On the planet of the Crucible, you will step into the role of a mighty Archon who must lead a diverse team assembled from the creatures, technologies, artifacts, and abilities of the Crucible's houses as you race to gather precious Ember? I'm thinking, yes, it's Ember. It's A and E as one letter, like Yumber, that will unlock the planet's hidden vaults. Only one can claim the full knowledge and power of this planet. Do you have what it takes? The first set for Keyforge, Call of the Archons, is on sale now at your local retailer or online through the Fantasy Flight Games website. Then you can also register your Archon decks using the Keyforge Master Vault at keyforgegame.com. And there's also a companion app that's available on Google Play so it is available for Android. It is coming soon for iOS. So what sets Keyforge apart? Keyforge is the first unique deck game, meaning that every Archon deck is one of a kind, unlike any other deck in existence. With every deck presenting its own Archon and distinct combination of cards, every game is a new adventure of discovery and exploration. Every deck is made up of 36 cards, but it's not the cards that make your deck special, but the interactions between those cards, strategies and tactics which can only be found in your deck. You must discover the most powerful synergies within your Archon deck in order to master it and challenge yourself to make tough, tactical decisions in every game. With over 104 quadrillion possible decks, every player has a chance to become the best in the world at playing their decks and discovering the strength within. Over a series of fast-paced turns where the advantage can turn in an instant, you will use your followers to reap Ember, hold off your enemy, and forge the 3 keys needed to unlock the Crucible's hidden vaults and win the game. You begin your turn by declaring one of the 3 houses within your deck, and for the remainder of the turn, you may only play and use cards from that house. Choosing your house is just the start of the tough tactical decisions, as you must leverage the cards in your hand and in play to gain the upper hand. Choosing to reap more Ember now or take the fight to your opponent, picking the exact sequence of events to pull off a massive combo, these are just a fraction of the choices that can emerge in a game of Keyforge. The time has come to don the mantle of the Archon and lead your team to victory. Accept the challenge of the Architects, unlock the secrets of the Crucible, and enter a world where anything is possible. Keyforge is for 2 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, plays in 15 to 45 minutes, and the starter box carries an MSRP of $39.95, while individual decks carry an MSRP of $9.95. So, Keyforge is out, and yes, I know there have been loads of people who have been really, really wondering about this game. I believe, last time I looked, I think Keyforge is the #1 hotness on Board Game Geek. And I have no clue if this is going to be any good or not. I really don't. Richard Garfield, yes, normally his games are good. Obviously enough, you've got Magic the Gathering. You're not going to see lightning strike twice. Magic the Gathering is kind of a once-in-a-lifetime or once-in-a-generation sort of thing. So I don't see Keyforge, like, you know, going toe-to-toe with Magic the Gathering. The thing that I find unusual about this, and like I said, I have not played it, I have not seen it. The thing that kind of throws me off a bit is that you get your deck, you get your pre-constructed deck. It's a 36-card deck, so people out there thinking, oh, wow, you know, $10 for a deck, that's not too bad. 36 cards. We're not talking, you know, 50, 60 cards like a Magic deck. We're talking 36 for $10. I don't know. Problem I see is there's no telling with the way these decks are going to be correlated. There's no telling if you buy a deck that's going to be complete garbage, right? I can't imagine that there's some sort of a algorithm there that's going to make sure that the deck you get with the various different random cards in there, you know, there's nothing there that's going to make sure that, oh, well, this deck isn't garbage. And the problem that I see, too, is this isn't a deck building game. This is a unique deck game. You must play with the deck you've got. There is no mixing and matching cards or anything like that. And you actually go on to the website or use the app to register your deck. So I'm not trying to dissuade anybody from checking this out because it does look really interesting. I have heard some good buzz, but I don't know what kind of legs this is going to have. Especially if people, you know, buy 2-3 decks and they don't play well. I don't know. I honestly have no idea. And of course, I don't see there being a secondary market because it's unique decks, right? You're not selling cards. I don't know. We'll have to see. Anyway, jury's out in my opinion, but, you know, maybe I'll get a chance to play it at some point. All right, so I do want to point out there's a new war game release from my friends over at Tiny Battle Publishing, and I've got the dope on Platoon Commander, Korea 1950. There's no tactical game on the market quite like Mark H. Walker's Platoon Commander. Well, you never have to worry about any false modesty from my pal, Mark H. Walker, because you don't get that. Mark just tells you, hey man, this game kicks ass. That's it. Anyway, color-coded range values, abstract weapon capabilities, allowing you to focus on making things go boom. Back and forth fire give you the dynamic impression of a fast-paced firefight. It's card-assisted, not card-driven, injecting a nice dose of chaos into the mix without ever devolving into the why can't. The first historical Platoon Commander module delves into the dynamic early days of the Korean War. The North Korean People's Army is relentlessly marching south, and the United States Army, vastly outnumbered, finds itself fighting a series of desperate battles in an attempt to buy enough time for the Pusan perimeter to be finished. Chaffies and T-34s, Sky Raiders and guerrilla attacks, it's all here and it's all glorious. Platoon Commander Korea 1950 is packed with 4 tense scenarios. Task Force Smith. Can the NKPA armor shrug off everything the Americans threw at them? Oh, I'm sorry. It says the NKPA armor shrugged off. No, it's not. It's just nope. Sorry, this is not presented correctly. Basically, it's can the NKPA armor shrug off everything the Americans throw at them? Can they survive? Taejan, the 21st Infantry Regiment and 78th Heavy Tank are all that stands between the NKPA and the unfinished Busan perimeter. Chachuan, I think that's how it's pronounced. The 21st Infantry Regiment faces 10-to-1 odds, but U.S. air power might even the score. And then there's Task Force Lynch, the daring Pusan perimeter breakout. Platoon Commander Korea 1950 is for 2 players, is rated a medium complexity, and plays around 60 to 90 minutes, depending on the scenario. The game is available right now for a sale price of $24 from Tiny Battle, and you can get it as a $10 print and play at Wargame Vault. Nice. Very nice. Although, this is something that kind of throws me off, and it's actually showing the image right now. And I love Tiny Battle Publishing games that I've played. I haven't played too many of them. Flying Pig games as well. Really, really good stuff. I'm kind of curious why the decision to go with infantry utilizing NATO iconography, but then the armor is actually showing tanks. Kind of weird. And it looks like commanders are showing, you know, like images of commanders too. I would have thought if that was the case, then infantry would be represented by little images of infantry units. Or like we've seen in Armageddon War, where it's just like small arms showing, like, you know, like an AK-47 kind of thing. So I don't know. But hey, $24, that's a pretty nice deal. It's on sale right now. I believe the usual MSRP is $28. So today is kind of focused on role-playing games. So I actually have some role-playing game news too, because Kobold Press has released a new Midgard supplement for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, and I've got the dope on Midgard Sagas. Mystery and Death stalk Midgard. Midgard Sagas presents 6 5th edition adventures for characters from levels 3 to 8. All 6 adventures were originally designed to be playable in a convention time slot of 4 to 6 hours, so they're packed with fast action. There's Murder on the Crossroads. I hate when that happens. For level 3 characters. An unnatural blizzard has characters trapped inside a famous general's mansion, and a murderer is loose among them. Madman at the Bridge. The one thing I hate just a little bit less than Murder on the Crossroads would be a madman at the bridge. Saboteurs have attacked the puffing bridge, bringing Zobek to a halt. Characters must fight their way past the clockwork guards and defuse the situation. Literally. The Mahomet Heist. Characters are hired to pull off a heist at one of the poshest and most heavily guarded nightclubs in Mahomet. This shadow job will take extensive planning, timing, stealth, and Nerves of Steel. There's Raiders of the Chamber of Tomorrows. A time-warping artifact was recovered from the scene of a crime. To find out who wants it and why, characters must locate the ruined elven city of Thorn and brave the dangers of the legendary Chamber of Tomorrows. There's Two-Wake War. Dust Goblin tribes are gearing for war in the Wasted West. It's up to the characters to infiltrate the Dust Goblins' remote territory, discover their secret, and put a halt to their plan before it dooms the entire region. And finally, Blood of a Fallen Star. Infection from space is ravaging the Northlands. Dwarven raiders with rotted brains attack their neighbors, their friends, even their own families. Zombies, anyone? Finding the source of the infection is easy. Destroying it won't be. Midgard Sagas is available from Kobold Press right now in hardcover and PDF as a bundle for $24.99, which to me sounds awfully inexpensive for a hardcover. I'm pretty sure the price is right. I double-checked it at the Kobold Press website. Or you can score the PDF alone for $14.95. Got to mention, the PDF is not on the drive-through sites yet. It's not on RPG. Interesting. I have to say, Kobold Press, well, all right. Some folks may not necessarily like their adventures and stuff like that. Midgard's very, very popular. Midgard's very popular for both 5e and Pathfinder. I have to say, Kobold Press, their products just always are so polished looking. Some folks may not dig some of the releases, some of the adventures mainly that come out from them, but I gotta say, their presentation is always eye-popping. Really, really nicely done. Maybe I'll check this one out and do a review of it. All right, and then finally, my last news piece. We're just talking 5th edition today because Lost Laboratory of Quailish, I think it's pronounced Quailish, is an adventure that's now available on Drive-Thru RPG from Wizards of the Coast. It is an official release for Dungeons & Dragons as a PDF, and here's the dope. Lost Laboratory of Quailish, I swear I think that's how it's pronounced. I'm not positive. It could be Quailish? I think it's Quailish. Sounds better as Quailish, doesn't it? Explores an alternate expedition into the Barrier Peaks. The legendary inventor disappeared in the peaks eons ago. As it turns out, finding a crashed planar ship and studying its technology to fuel his own experiments. Only now, Quailish's lost research is desperately needed. This is an adventure for characters of 5th to 10th level. This adventure explores 2 locations within the Barrier Peaks and includes new monsters, magic items, and spells, plus sci-fi trinkets, random encounters, and even rumors of the area submitted by the player community. Further featuring new art. That just doesn't sound right. It features new art, maps from Claudio Pozas, and even a cartoon, as well as the famed suit of powered armor as edited by Jeremy Crawford on the Dragon Plus live stream. Plus, the best thing of all is that all monies that Wizards of the Coast receives from sales of this PDF will be donated to Extra Life. Big thumbs up. Your purchase of this adventure goes to a truly great cause. In addition, we're honored to include some content designed with Lawrence Withy in this adventure. We hope the material presented helps bring his character, the wizard Galder, to Dungeons & Dragons tables around the world. The 61-page adventure is available in PDF from my friends over at Drive-Thru RPG for $9.99. And don't forget, all the monies Wizards of the Coast is going to receive from this will go to Extra Life. Plus, if you were watching the Dungeons & Dragons Extra Life stream, which would have meant you weren't watching the Gaming Gang's stream back on the 3rd, they did play this. So as far as I understand, I believe 2 different Dungeon Masters ran sections of this, portions of this, during the Extra Life stream. So pretty cool. And of course, this is available at Drive-Thru RPG for $9.99. As I always like to point out, with anything at Drive Thru RPG, they happen to be a company that I'm affiliated with. So if you happen to be going to Drive Thru RPG, please visit thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banners. That way, if you do make a purchase, we'll get a small portion of that sale. And that goes for any of the drive-through sites if you use our banners. All right, so as I mentioned, I'm going to get into the first look at the Guildmasters Guide to Ravnica in just a couple of minutes. A couple of things I wanted to talk about is, oh, hey, Lead Magnet's coming up. Am I doing an unboxing for the other 2 coin games? Yes, but probably not right away. And yes, your copy of Fire in the Lake just went out yesterday. It was, I think it, well, okay. It was handed off to somebody that they were supposed to ship it out. So I will double check with them to make sure that that did ship out. So, yeah, I'm sure it did. If not, it'll go out today. I'll make sure it goes out today. Anyway, hey, thanks for popping in to check out the show today, Brant. Anywho, I was going to say that there was something I wanted to talk about just kind of quickly that, I don't know, I think a lot of gamers aren't overly aware of. And it is that there's been a real change in the tabletop gaming world over the past few years. And it's getting to the point that it's going to be it's very difficult for some of these companies to compete. And a lot of these companies are having to kind of change how they go along with they're having to adjust their game plans from the past, right? So I'll give you a few examples. So Steve Jackson Games. Now this took place a while back. This was over the summer, but they actually cut a lot of their staff. They laid off a lot of their staff, and actually announced that what they were going to kind of do from now on, they were going to focus on more on licenses that they already have. They weren't gonna like be dipping their toes into too many new things. So expect a lot more Munchkin stuff, GURPS PDFs. We do have the Triplanetary Kickstarter that should be coming out sometime next year, which was, in my opinion, I mean, I think it was like $45. I remember playing Triplanetary way back in the day, but I didn't have any like great love for it either way. It would not have been a game that I would have been chomping at the bit to kickstart to bring back out there, especially nowadays with its really bland presentation. But Steve Jackson Games also took a big hit with their Dungeon Fantasy. They thought they were going to sell loads of that, and they didn't. So Steve Jackson Games also talked about how, you know, they're going to be printing way smaller print runs as well. If we look at role-playing game companies, John Wick Presents, his company, he had to lay off his go. And he already said, hey, you know what? We are going to have to really, really slow down our production schedule. We're not going to be able to release a lot of this stuff that we were originally planning to do. So when I was at Gen Con as well as Origins this year, I did talk to some of my friends in the industry. And off the record, they were pretty concerned. They were very, very concerned. And we're talking companies that you wouldn't expect would be sitting there saying, oh, yeah, you know, we might have to close our doors at some point. Now, so what's happening is, you know, you figure Kickstarter is squeezing a lot of companies out. The other thing is, you know, this is kind of a golden era of tabletop gaming. It really is, because we've got so many really good games. Problem is, we've got a lot of shit that's out there too. And a lot of times people don't know the difference between the two until it's too late. So what's happening, a lot of companies are having to shrink down their print runs because their product's not going to stay on store shelves because there's so much new stuff constantly coming out. And part of the problem is that too many gamers are too fixated on the cult of the new. And that's always been the case, but it's really getting to the point where there are companies that are in jeopardy of going under, and I'd hate to see that. So yes, as Brand is pointing out, there's a lot of competition, especially with crowdsourcing. And talking about niche products, a lot of people don't realize our hobby is a niche hobby. It is a tiny, 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 tiny hobby. I know we sit there and we say, wow, you know, they had 80,000 people at Gen Con, or Spiel pulls in like 150,000 people. That's fantastic. But you know what? Those conventions come nowhere close to being the largest conventions that are in the world. Nowhere close. So I think sometimes some gamers out there don't realize that our hobby is much smaller and much more fragile, especially economically, than they think. I mean, you know, I got to be honest. I personally think Steve Jackson games will get sold off in 2019. I really, really think that's what's going to happen. I think Steve Jackson is finally going to just say, hey, you know what? I'm done with all these headaches, and sell it off. So that's just a guess. I'm not saying that Asmodee is going to buy him. I'm just saying that's kind of my guess, that they will go under, and then we will probably see another big name company maybe shutter their doors. Possibly Rio Grande Games. Now, I have nothing against any of these companies I'm saying this about, right? Okay, well, yeah, maybe Steve Jackson Games, because they always wanted me to provide coverage of them, but they never wanted to hand over a review copy of anything. But I kind of get the feeling that we will probably see another large company kind of go belly up before they sell out, kind of like Mayfair did, right? Mayfair going out of business after what, 30 years was it? Maybe more than 30. It got to be more than 30 years. Maybe 35, 40 years. That was kind of a shocker for people. So I'm just saying, don't be so quick to want like all this new stuff, because it'll get to the point where the only companies that can compete are going to be the big kind of mega corporate entities, right? And the smaller companies that are really the lifeblood of our hobby, always have been, will get squeezed out. And this is actually, if you think about it, I have talked about why some people hate Vampire the Masquerade. And that is one of the reasons why, because back in the day, they produced so much content that stores, and it sold. You know, it'd be one thing if they produced the content, nobody bought it. But they produced all this content, and then what would happen is all these other role-playing game companies couldn't get their stuff on the shelves of stores. So White Wolf pretty much forced all these other role-playing game companies off of the shelves, because I even remember going into some gaming stores in Chicago, and it was all vampire and werewolf and the 5 or 6 different games that they've got in their World of Darkness line. So anywho, all right, so we'll see what's going on. So what's cooking as far as future episodes of the Daily Dope? So as I mentioned already, the show is going to be moving to 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on Monday, because as I mentioned, I'm going to start my cardiovascular rehab. So it will be at night for at least like 13 weeks. We'll see how the nighttime goes. You know, I don't know. But I do know that it will be at least 13 weeks that we will be doing the show in the evenings. So on Monday's show, I am finally going to review Betrayal Legacy. Yes, we are scheduled to play a couple more games of this weekend. So that will be on Monday's show. On Tuesday's show, I am going to unbox and take a first look at Marvel Codenames, which my best friend Elliot Miller over at voiceofe.com was kind enough to give me a copy of for my birthday. Then on Wednesday's show, I am going to review Cryptid from Osprey Games. I'll give you a hint. I liked it a lot more than I thought I might like it. So anyway, so that'll be on Wednesday's show. Thursday, of course, is Thanksgiving here in the U.S. Will not be a show. I am considering doing a show on Black Friday. And normally I would take that Friday after Thanksgiving off. I might actually do a Black Friday show and kind of devote most of the show to sales that various companies are having, or stuff that you should really take a look at getting your hands on as gifts, because I am going to talk about some great gift ideas this year as well. So anyway, all right, so enough of that blabbing on and on and on. 30 minutes in, finally going to get to the Guildmasters Guide to Ravnica. So I know there are folks out there who are kind of thinking to themselves, all right, so first of all, why is this getting released? So I will talk about that in just a couple of minutes as I toss on my reading specs that I don't need just yet. Anywho, the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica is for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. It's from Wizards of the Coast, and the book is designed by James Wyatt, Jeremy Crawford, Avi Levitch, Ben Petrosor, Mike Merles, Robert J. Schwalb, and Chris Tulach. I think it might be Tulach. The 256-page sourcebook carries an MSRP of $49.95. You may be able to find it in select stores. Probably be pretty tough. I think it's probably sold out at the friendly local game stores that are part of the. I think it's Wizards Play, is what it's called. It's kind of their exclusive level of retailers. But it will be available in many more locations as well as online on November 20th. So let's pop on over to the other camera. So I am going to actually kind of put a game box underneath this to kind of prop it up, kind of try to cut down on a little bit of some of the glare. We're still going to get a little bit of glare, but I'm going to try to cut down on as much as I can. So I know there are people out there who are wondering, well, wait a second, how come a Magic the Gathering setting is getting ported over to Dungeons and Dragons, well, for 5th edition, and we're still waiting for, you know, like Greyhawk, or well, we got a little bit of Eberron, but Dragonlance or Mysteria or Planescape, Dark Suns, all of these different backgrounds that are just beloved by a lot of different players. How come we're not seeing any of that get ported over? We're getting Ravnica, which is from Wizards of the Coast. And I kind of pointed this out when I was talking about the state of Dungeons & Dragons on yesterday's show when I did my review for the 5th edition Dungeon Master's Guide. And that is that Wizards of the Coast, so Wizards of the Coast, Dungeons & Dragons, Avalon Hill imprint, as well as Magic the Gathering, makes up a very tiny percentage of Hasbro's profits. About 1%, some years is less than 1%. So Hasbro, the powers that be, look at it like, okay, well, first of all, they don't throw a lot of budget towards D&D. That's one of the reasons why we don't see huge numbers of releases for 5th edition. We don't see a new release every single month, right? We only get to see stuff usually about every 6 months, thereabouts. And that is one of the reasons behind that is because Hasbro does not really budget Wizards of the Coast that much cash as far as Dungeons and Dragons. Because even as Wizards of the Coast is just a very small percentage of Hasbro's overall profits, D&D is way smaller than Magic the Gathering as far as bringing the money in. So, of course, the way I look at it now, nobody has said this officially or anything like that, but the way I look at it is that Hasbro decided, hey, you know what? Why not do a book where we're looking at a Magic the Gathering setting, porting it over to Dungeons and Dragons. It is the 25th anniversary of Magic anyway, but they figured, hey, at least we know Magic is a moneymaker, so why don't we do this and maybe introduce Dungeons and Dragons to some people who only play Magic the Gathering. So that is basically how I kind of look at it. That's how I kind of get the gist of why we're seeing Ravnica as opposed to things like Dark Suns and Dragonlance. Dragonlance, they would probably have to talk to the Hickmans again about doing stuff with them. But then again, they did the Stroud adventure, so I don't think they were a Strand. Is it? No, Strahd. Yeah, it's Strahd. Curse of Strahd. So anyway, so let's take a look at the back here. It says, stand with your guild. The world's most popular role-playing game meets the world's most popular trading card game in this campaign's sourcebook, detailing the Magic the Gathering world of Ravnica for use in Dungeons & Dragons. From deep catacombs to sky-raking spires, Ravnica is covered in countless layers constructed over thousands of years. Lofty cathedrals, hulking courthouses, towering apartments, sprawling tenements, and cobblestone plazas spread as far as the eye can see. In this teeming Cosmopolis? Okay. In this teeming Cosmopolis, 10 guilds vie for power, wealth, and influence, held in an uneasy peace by a magical force called the Guild Pact. But the Guild Pact doesn't prevent the intrigue, subterfuge, and political machinations that are a hallmark of life in Ravnica. And now the Guild Post is gone. Guild Pact. Guild Post. Duh. Is gone, or seems to be. What chaos might erupt if the ambition and rivalry of the guilds goes unchecked? It's up to you to choose your guild and shape the future of Ravnica. And of course, you need the Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master Guide, and Monster Manual. So let's crack this puppy open. First thing that I kind of noticed is, now I had pointed this out the other day. So I've got a ding up here, there's a little, it's bent. That is, the reason why is, I shouldn't say the reason why. This is a review copy, and a lot of times, a lot of companies, what they'll do is, if they've got like a little ding or a dent in like a book, they'll send that out as the review copy. I have absolutely no issue with that. I have run across some reviewers in the past who are like, oh, well, you know, this book had scratches on the cover, and it's like, yeah, that's why you got that review copy. They weren't going to sell it. It's like, geez. All right, so anyway, one thing I will point out, I was talking about people who are like, hey, how come we're not getting, you know, like Dark Sun or Greyhawk? I highly doubt we're going to really see Greyhawk. I think we will. I think we'll, because if you notice, there's the Wayfarer's Guide to Eberron. That's available in PDF. I think that's how we'll probably see other setting releases, is as PDFs. It is a lot more, it's a lot more cost effective for Wizards of the Coast to do that, because now we're starting to actually see official Dungeons and Dragons releases come out in PDF, not core books and things like that, not source books, but we have seen, for an example, the Lost Treasure of Kwashi or whatever. I was just talking about it. The special Extra Life adventure. So we have seen some official Wizards of the Coast products come out in PDF, exclusively in PDF. Right, so we're getting an index of stat blocks with monsters and NPCs. One question I'm going to have is, Magic the Gathering's magic system is based on various different colors. Dungeons and Dragons is not, obviously enough. I'm wondering how they're going to do this. So let's see. Okay, so we got Welcome to Ravnica, City of Guilds, random guilds. There's history. So we're getting some background here. Life in the big city, the different currency. Oh yeah, that's all we need. That's all we need is more currency. It's different types of currency. So I'm kind of curious if they're going to approach this as you're going to roll up characters and your characters are simply going to be in Ravnica, or are we going to see some options to kind of, you know, have player characters travel across the plains, things like that. So comforts of civilization. I like that. Well, there you go. Chapter 1, character creation. Choosing a guild. Race and class. Yeah, I'm very surprised Dungeons and Dragons still uses the term race. But, you know, I guess it's kind of cooked in by now. Question here, what's important to me? Let's see, where's killing stuff? Well, hey, look, I was joking. I said, where's killing stuff? And we get smashing stuff. All right, so we got humans. We got elves. We got centaurs. We got goblins. Oh, wait. Loxodon. Oh, the elephant guys, right? Minotaurs. Okay, so I do play Magic the Gathering. I mainly, well, I shouldn't say mainly. I haven't played sitting down across from somebody in probably, 3-4 years. My nephew Cameron was kind of interested in it, but he couldn't grasp. Yeah, at the time, he was only, I don't know, 13, 12, 13. Didn't quite click with him. I think nowadays it would. I think he'd be fine with it now. But I do play online. I do play the beta right now. I'm very excited to see that as of yesterday they announced you can now take on like your friends, because before it was just you have randomly playing against random people. So, but the thing is, I don't know any background in the settings, because it's not as if I play a lot of Magic. I kind of, I'll play it for a while, and then I might not play for a few years. Then I pick it back up and play. So we got classes by guild. So we got Barbarian, Bard, Cleric, Fighter, Monk, Paladin, Ranger, Rogue, Sorcerer, Warlock. All pretty much the same kind of stuff. Then we got some subclass options. I like the artwork. Artwork looks pretty good. The guilds of Ravnica. So it's talking about the 10 different guilds. Guild membership, renown, styles of membership, changing guilds. So we got the Senate. Got some random charts here for characteristics for, I guess, members. And we got some specific guild spells. How do I fit in? Boros Legion. A lot of people play Boros decks, I'll tell you that much. Alright, so House Demir. Golgari Swarm. Funny thing is, I usually play white-green in Magic. And I know they're better colors to combine in that. I don't know. I just I guess, same way I don't really play evil characters in role-playing games. I just kind of dig the, not to say that like red and blue are necessarily evil. Black, of course, yeah. I don't know. It's just how I am. Gruul clans. So I tend to play a lot of white-green. Sometimes if I go single color deck, I usually go green. Because I just like having swarms of creatures, so. Alright. Is it League? So we are seeing that, are these, did I just pass by? Yeah, there's some new spells. Not for every guild, I don't think. Doesn't look like every guild has new spells. So talking about the different ranks, the rank and file, talking about enemies and allies. One thing I was a little surprised about is the MSRP of this book. So normally, a vast number of the Dungeons and Dragons books, especially like the core books, tend to run about 320 pages. Usually around 300 pages. This one is, was it, 264? Let's take a look. No, these pages are kind of stuck together. Gotta be careful here. Oh no, I'm sorry, 256. So we got 256 pages, so... But the MSRP always stays the same. So you figure we were just looking at the Dungeon of the... I should say, Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage, and that was 320 pages. Well, that also has an MSRP of $49.95. Thing is a little weird when you got a product that has 60 plus fewer pages having the same MSRP. But that's kind of a Wizards of the Coast thing. Their books usually sort of have the same MSRPs. So, all right, moving right along. I really do dig this artwork. And as I mentioned with some of the other reviews I've been doing of the D&D books, is I do like the fact that from the core books, like the Player's Guide, the Dungeon Master's Guide, and the Monster Manual, which I will actually do a review of the Monster Manual in a few weeks, that the artwork has gotten a little less cartoonish, a little more realistic, which I definitely dig, because one of the aspects of Pathfinder I'm not so keen on is the very cartoonish / anime manga inspiration for a lot of their artwork. I mean, I'm not saying the artwork's bad, but I've even seen that I think Pathfinder's gonna move away from that in the new 2.0. Because to me, it's kind of silly. It's like you can't have a character with a great sword that the great sword is bigger than they are, and realistically be like, oh yeah, that character can swing that sword around and fight. It's ridiculous. There's no way. You know, I expect that from a Final Fantasy game. I don't expect that from a fantasy role-playing game. So we've got the 10th district. So now I think we're going to start talking about the city. Sure enough, there we go. 10th district, and oh, it's broken up into precincts. Okay. So that's what that map is there. So we're going to get a breakdown of the different precincts. I wonder if we're going to see any adventure in here. Or yeah, at least some adventure nuggets, maybe? So we got more of the random tables. As I always like to talk about, I have never been a random encounter or random table sort of game master. Not to say that I won't look at a random table to kind of get some inspirations for some things, but a lot of times, in my opinion, if you're just rolling stuff up randomly while you're playing, while you're on the fly, then really your whole adventure kind of just feels random. There's nothing tying it all together. Whereas if even if you're looking at some random tables before you're playing during your prep, you can be like, oh yeah, you know, I like that. I like that encounter. I'm going to keep that in my back pocket to use that. There we go. Creating adventures. So we've got guild-based adventures. Choosing a guild. Involving the characters. Complications. Allies and rivals. Consume. I'm kidding. The Azorius Senate. Adventure hooks. Now we got the Boros Legion. So I guess we're going to get some adventure ideas for each of the guilds. Different hooks that you can use. Gruul class. Got the Is It League. Now is this character supposed to be the same character that's on the cover? Similar, but not the same. Cult of Rakdos. Alright, so the Celestia. So it looks like we're kind of getting like some maps of the kind of like the guild headquarters, or at least areas, portions of the guild headquarters. Oh, here we go. Krenko's Way. Krenko's Way is a short adventure for a party of 4 to 6 first-level adventurers who might advance to second level by the adventure's conclusion. They don't die. Okay, so we've got an adventure here starting on page 160. Krenko's Hideout. Goblin Gang member. Warehouse locations. So I honestly think the prospects to see other settings get their own hardcover source books is probably going to be determined by how well this sells. And you know what? Off the top of my head, I don't know. I honestly don't know how well this is going to do. I don't know how much crossover appeal there is between D&D as well as with Magic the Gathering together, you know? I mean, a lot of people play both, but was there like this really big outcry to have Ravnica ported over to D&D? I don't know. I honestly do not know. Quality of the book's really nice, and it's not as if we're a bit of content in here. Just like when I was looking at the at Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage, I was really surprised. I mean, there's artwork in the book, but it was like maybe 1 or 2 pieces of artwork for each of the levels. It was pretty wild. So I mean, that was just jam-packed with game content. So I have not started reading it yet, but I know some people really dig mega dungeons. I know some people don't dig mega dungeons. I think it would be interesting if you were running a game where your characters, that's all they had, was they're basically just in a mega dungeon. Because there are some mega dungeons out there that are just massive. Like, there were, what, 23 levels to the Mad Mage? Okay, so we got some different creatures. Okay, so now we got a bestiary. I've heard people pronounce it bestiary. I don't, you know, okay, yeah, there's no A. It's not B-E-A, but it's creatures and beasts, right? Isn't it pronounced bestiary, not bestiary? I have no idea. I've always called it a bestiary, sorry. So you got the different angels. There we go, the Arc-like Phoenix. Isn't that a rare? I think that's a rare card. Conclave Dryad, yes, I have that. Different giants. Flying Horror. Pretty cool. Is It Weirds? Engendered Spirits. Crisis. Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's like, oh, a lot of stuff I don't recognize. But, you know. I'm kind of curious. I'm pretty sure this artwork is different. This is not the same artwork. Okay, so now we're going to get into some NPCs by guild. That looks almost like the card. I'm not sure if that's different or not. Simply, you know, cherry pick what you want. It's something I've done for... Alright, so... But yeah, I was going to say, you can easily just sit there and just take what you want and discard all the rest. How I always like to do it. Alright, pretty cool. So, there you have it. So, we ended up getting one adventure. We got a bunch of adventure ideas, how to create adventures for the different guilds. We've got a lot of information specifically about the guilds. Looks like we had some new magic spells. I don't know, did we see a bunch of treasure? I know I was flipping through. I thought I saw something that was talking about, like, here we go. Treasures. Yeah, but it seems like it's more kind of charts than anything else. Well, there are a few items that are listed here. So we've got that. We got information about Ravnica itself. Then here we got all the different guilds again. And pretty nice. Very nice. Very nicely presented. Paper stock's good. It's not, it's, you know, we're not talking Ulysses. You know, we don't have the usual little bookmarks or anything like that like we get from Ulysses, and, you know, the paper stock's not as thick. But still, pretty nice. Pretty nicely done. And that is what we find when we take a look at the Guildmasters Guide to Ravnica for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, which will be available worldwide on November 20th. So, of course, I will have a review of the Guildmasters Guide to Ravnica. I keep wanting to say Dungeon Master's Guide. Keep wanting to say that, but that is not what it is. It's the Guildmasters Guide. So, very cool. I will look forward to kind of digging into that. But, of course, I have to get my review of Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage done first, because that looks like a whole lot of fun. All right, as I mentioned on Monday's show, I am going to be reviewing Betrayal Legacy. Yeah, finally going to get the Betrayal Legacy review done. And the show is moving to 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, which is 8 p.m. Eastern, and that would also make it 5 p.m. Pacific Time. So, all right, that's it for today's show. As I like to say, when you're out watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. Come on, by now you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. I will be back on Monday at the new time. So until then, enjoy your weekend. Have a very safe weekend. Have a lot of fun, too. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'm Jeff McAleer.